Nima weekend show, Khatti Yaadein. In this show, we bring elders and take their life stories. Every senior has a lot to say about his life, how he went through from childhood till that age. And we want this episode as a memory to them. They will be gone for sure, but their generation should remember them, and this should become their memory. So today we have Mr. Arun Malik. He was Director Business Excellence in Airtel, and after that he retired from Airtel, and then he has been progressing in his own life. I would prefer him to speak on his own, how he went through his life. And here we go, Mr. Arun Malik.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here amongst you today morning. I know Sanjeev sir and Nema for the last about 4 or 5 years. I was more involved with Nema at the time of planning because I personally feel there's one concept which I've learned in my life, which is PDCA. Of course, PDCA means plan, do, check, and action. And I used to interact very frequently with Sanjeev sir when he was planning for the whole thing. The kind of passion, the kind of persuasion, and the kind of joy which he used to express when he was planning to set up this, and now also very frequently when we interact, he shares with us how it is progressing. Uh, I think he's doing a real great job, and I personally envy him because there's a lot of joy which he takes. Because I personally feel whenever you start doing an activity which gives you the joy and which also gives joy to those who take those services, your life becomes very easy. You float on the waves of life rather than trying to pursue something which doesn't give you joy. So I really compliment him and compliment his team. They're doing a great job. I'm sure some of you would have experienced this. Some of you would be aware about it. And I'm sure, he will do a great job, he and his team. Whenever I go through his site, I feel very happy because he is not positioned himself and his family anywhere in the site. He is positioned his team, the people who really make the change happen or deliver goods on the ground, from doctors to nurses and to everybody, which is demonstrates the mindset of the person, which demonstrates his where his heart is. His heart and mind is where delivery happens, not in the management rooms. Because I personally feel management rooms create problems, they don't solve problems. The problems are solved on the shop floor itself. Uh, in this brief, about 30-45 minutes, I'm going to share with you my life story. Lighter side of it, I'm not going to be sharing with you the heavier side of it. Life has been full of pleasure, joy, and pain, all three. I would like to just clarify here. Pleasure is a short-term concept. It's most of the time it is at the cost of somebody else's pain. Like consider, for instance, you deflate of a tire of a friend. While you may get pleasure, or Arun Malik may get pleasure for 5 minutes, but it hurts his friend. Or you may do anything which is not expected, which hurts somebody and gives you a temporary joy or temporary relief. That's a pleasure. Whereas a joy is something which is slightly long term in nature. You feed somebody food, you give some service like nursing or medication, or or you help somebody, you coach somebody. That's a joy because you're giving it when you're giving something which is going to be benefiting the individual who is receiving it long term, and even that memory remains with you for a longer duration. So you enjoy that. You have a feeling of joy in that. The third dimension which I spoke about was the pain. The pain is, again, I will put it into three perspectives. First one is the physical pain. you get hurt, or you have a temperature, or there's something undesirable which happens in your body. That's a pain. Second pain is an induced pain. Actually, that's a thought. You start feeling good when something goes wrong with others, or something goes excellent with others. When your friend has bought a Mercedes car, and you start feeling bad about it. Oh my goodness, why he could not get it? I mean, that's a second category of pain. The third category of pain is again an induced pain, which arises when you see certain things that are happening in the environment which are unethical, which are rational, people cheating, and then the pain gets induced. So my life journey also has been a combination of pleasures, joys, and pains, and of each of these types. So I'll be sharing some of this, and of course, you feel, of course, my life journey has been at different speeds from childhood. I mean, the speed may be average from childhood to about pre-adult, then adult, then to adolescent, and then thereafter. So the speed has been different. Of course, the speed of time has not been different, but the perception you build based on the control which you have on life, you feel it's slow, or you feel it's high, or you feel it's Shinkansen. So that's how life has been for me. Beginning born in 1953 in Delhi, moved very quickly to UP. When I was in class 2, moved to Meerut, small city, great town, lovable town. I must say that. I did my higher secondary from there. The journey was, I wouldn't say it was high speed or low speed, because I didn't realize the speed at all. It was very smooth. Only thing is, there are certain incidents which help me realize what life can offer you, pains which could be rewarding also. The first incident which I would like to share is I was very good in hockey and had an opportunity to learn from some of the stalwarts in the country. Tala Manath, forgot the name. We Anchals used to come and teach us hockey. It was very good, going very good. And one day I decided, rather we decided to play hockey with cycle rather than running yourself on your feet. We decided to play hockey on cycle, and when the first accident happened, fell down, broke my leg. It was casted for about 6 months. 3 months after it got repaired, I again went on the cycle and fell down. So it was 6 months. But that 6 months of journey brought me to very close to my mother, who used to teach me mathematics. She was only Prabhakar, which used to be equivalent to 8, but she used to teach me maths. And that's when I started doing maths while lying down. I mean, because sitting was very difficult for me. So when I went back to the school, I went back in class 10th final, whereas I broke my leg in ninth last term. That was about February, March, when exams were about to happen. My maths had improved radically, and I did 100% in maths. And that's where this pain got converted to joy. But then again, I would like to extend it together, extend it further and share with you what happened thereafter, where I started feeling the presence of Almighty. When I reached 11th board examination, I was refused appearing for 11th exam because I was only 15 and a half years. Again, my father took this on himself, wrote an application to the Central Board of Secondary Education. They refused it. They said the child is only 15 and a half, so he cannot appear for the examination. So as Almighty has been very kind. Almighty, there was another student who was a daughter of a general chief of army. She was also appearing for the exam, and there was a special approval done for her. And those days people were very simple, and they approved my name. So I quickly appeared for the exam. My mathematics teacher was very passionate. Later on, he became chairman of CBSE also, Mr. Garg. He said, Arun, I'm sure you will get H because you're capable of doing maths very well. Unfortunately, it so happened that I could only appear for 98 marks out of 1. But then Almighty had the way. There were one question of 5 marks which came out of course, and everyone was given extra 5 marks. So eventually, my total was H. When the mark sheet appeared, my principal and my math teacher was very happy about it. I only knew that I had not appeared for 2 marks. So this is how journey was very smooth, really great journey, and Almighty's blessings. Again, I know how we used to run to temple very frequently. We had a temple close to our house called Kalipaltan Mandir, Lord Shiva's temple, where the mutiny of 1857 started from Tatya Pandey. I used to run to that temple, go down, I don't know why, and come back. Maybe my father used to do that, and we used to serve some food outside to people outside. So that's how, when I went and thanked, but I never asked but went and thanked him. After that, my journey again began. I joined engineering college called REC Trichy. Now this is the 10th best college. Those days again it was 5th best college in the country. And I got admission there. So I had to travel by train from Delhi to, Delhi to Trichy. Someone said he would help me out to reach Trichy. His son was also getting admission. I went up to Metros, those days Chennai. It was a locomotive. We were all black when we reached Chennai or Metros. And that's where the gentleman told me, look, I am getting down here because we are supposed to join on 4th of July, and this was only 2nd of July. He said, you go ahead. Now I got out of the station. I never knew whether I'll go by rickshaw or I'll go by train or bus. What means I'll let off. So it was simple way. So eventually, I went to the station. There was a 8 hours train journey from Chennai to Trichy. I reached Trichy on the third day morning at 6:30. Took a auto from there. There was a telegram stating that your admission is subjected to interview on arrival. Now, this was a Sunday. I had reached Trichy. I was supposed to go for an interview. So I straight away, and the name below said P.S. Manisundaram Principal. So I straight away took the auto rickshaw to Principal's house and went there and told him. I had a pink torn telegram in my hand, handed the telegram to him. It was 7:30 in the morning, and he said, "What do you want?" I said, "You have to conduct my interview because my admission is subjected to your interview." And he laughed his way out. Again, he said, "No, okay, don't worry. People are going to enjoy you. I can see that." But then he laughed it out and told his driver, "Please go and drop him at the hostel and make arrangements for me to stay at the warden's room or somewhere there." I said, "But you're not given an approval on this telegram." No, okay, go ahead. It's approved. But the journey, then he said, "Who is your local guardian?" I said, I don't have any contacts in Trichy. For me, anything beyond Nagpur is Madras only." He said, "No, okay, don't worry. Don't worry. Whenever you write your form, please write my name." I said, "That's great." So I had two benefits of that visit. I was dropped by his personal car, his personal driver in the hostel. So the whole college knew that I have contacts with principal. So that's a paradigm which got fit. And since my form included his name as a local guardian, so the whole college staff also knew that this person has come from a very powerful port source. So all these is Almighty's creation. I never made an attempt. It was only simplicity. But I personally feel God lies in simplicity. हमारे पंजाबियों में कहते हैं यमलियों का भगवान होता है और वही सब कुछ करता है तो सिंपल जितना रहो. So I went there and when I stayed in the hostel, of course, the contacts with principal were so strong that I got 3 more admissions done from my cousins and for my, friends, without going through any process of admission test or anything. So that's how life passed on simply, very simply. The challenge was how to interact with people in mess and also in college, because people at operation level in workshops would only speak Tamil. I am talking about 1969, where there was not much acceptance of Hindi or even English at operation level. So I found an innovative way. My roommate, we used to have 3 people in one room. One of the roommate later on became member of parliament from Trichy. His one day he to his wife and his mother, when do you start learning? Tamil? He said, would like to. She said, get to it because it's a body language only which helps you to learn what is being said. So eventually I started going to movies and started watching movies of Nagesh. And I realized Nagesh was something like Mahmood or, any other hilarious actor in the north part of the country. So I started watching him, and another 3 months' time, I could speak Tamil, I could manage myself at operation level. Even now, also, Kunjam Kunjam Tamil Teriya. So I can manage now also when I go there very fluently, especially in order to enter temple and other places. I am finding my Tamil is good enough. So learning became very quick. I mean, by watching movies through different roads. But at the same time, here the life taught me that life is a different experience. One day we wanted to see INS Vikrant in Cochin port, and this boatman, about 4 of us, we were going on his boat, and those days were very cheaper, so I had agreed for 5 rupees for boat to take us and show us INS Vikrant. Halfway through, this man pulled the rows out and put them in the boat and said, if you pay me 50 rupees, then I'll take you to the ship and bring you back. Otherwise, I am swimming to the shore. You remain here. That's when my huge shock of reality of life became very interesting. Eventually, we all gathered. 50 rupees was a huge amount for us. I used to get scholarship, then that was good enough for my, dining and various other activities, which was again 120 rupees per month. And the fees was only 120 rupees per semester. That means 6 months. So eventually we gathered about 35 rupees amongst us and gave it to him. He took us to a ship which was a cargo ship, brought us back. Next day we had a huge fight and we recovered the money. Anyway, that's a different story. So question is, then I realized life is not simple. Life has got huge challenges. That's the first time. So till that time, I was already 19 years of age. So it was a smooth ride. From there, I was the first batch pass out of electrical and electronics in the country. I was the first batch in the country who have passed out electrical and electronics. Came back, came back to Meerut after passing out again. Good mark, very decent mark. Hard work is something that I realized in college was the basic foundation to succeed. There was huge hard work in getting job also, but only between 3 months I could get a job in Modi Rubber, which was a tire manufacturing company. That time itself in '74, Modi Rubber started rolling out tires. And the first day itself, they asked me, I mean, would you like to work on floor or would you like to go through a lot of training in the office itself? I was more keen to join and go and work on the floor. So first day itself, they said, you please come back in the night shift. So 10 o'clock I reached there, and one of the operators from the shop floor came and gave me a pack of sweets, and he said, I know I can speak in Hindi. He said, ये मिठाई ले लीजिए सर, आपका बेटा हुआ. I said, my goodness, आपका बेटा means you have been the son. I said, this is my first day in the office, in the company. And he's telling me that I've been blessed with a son. I'm not even married. I was shocked, but then I picked up sweets and went and discussed with my plant head. There used to be plant head in each shift. And he told me this is the way you give motivation to somebody. Whatever belongs to you, say this belongs to you. Like ये आपकी गाड़ी है ये आपका बेटा हुआ है. So that was my first realization of realities of life. Worked there for 18 years, learned a lot on the shop floor. I mean, got an opportunity when Professor Ishikawa came to India, took him along to various places, including Agra and various other places, and various companies also. And one of the companies where we went to, and Ishikawa asked them, "Do you have PDCA?" As I mentioned earlier, PDCA is actually planned do check and action, and this was a very high rise success. The general manager said, "Yes, we have. Please do not check anything. Please do not check anything." Is was his understanding of PDCA. And that was the position of quality in the country. And that's where Ishikawa, while going back, offered me a scholarship and said, "Arun, would you like to come and learn quality? I find a lot of enthusiasm with you." And I went to Japan, one of the first representative from the country, and spent about 3 months there with Ishikawa. And that's where quality was everywhere. I mean, even if you are, I'm talking about 1986, even if you are lost on the road, you pick up a cradle, there was a display card which will give you a number of which language. Suppose I can speak English, I'm supposed to press a button called 9. You go to an English interpreter, and the interpreter on the other end will guide me where to go. There was a map also on the phone, which will also help me to understand which road and where I'm supposed to go. And the interpreter would also call a taxi for me if required. Even to the extreme, the taxi fellow, if he knows that you are a guest of Japan, he'll tell you what is the price it is going to charge you. Go from this location to wherever you want to go. And if you say thank you, I can't afford, he will thank you. And I mean that society I found was totally built onto customer orientation. The mindset was customer. Anyway, got back to India. The booking was done in such a way, again by Japanese. From India, from Japan, I went back to Singapore. From Singapore, I went back to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong to Bangkok and to India. I asked my team person why kind of booking. He said, be a cultural shock to trade from Japan to Delhi. So Singapore is lesser of a difficult. Uh, then you go to Hong Kong, which is slightly more difficult, and then you go to India or Bangkok and India, which is extremely different environment. So I like that way. Anyway, I came back and started working again with Modi Rubber. I made my commitment to Japanese government. So I set up an organization called Quality Circle Forum of India, along with some other top-notch authorities like etc. Those days, 30 members. Today, there are 40,000 members of this. And whenever I hold an annual convention, those days, the first convention international was held in Taj, Delhi, in 1988. So there were about 3,000, but today the convention has more than 50,000 participants. It happens once in a year. And we have to hire a university, which should have minimum about 150 rooms to go. So God has been kind. After that, I moved to Delhi. I mean, somewhere in 19, uh, somewhere in 1989, I moved on to Delhi again with Modi Group. Only work for Modi Stone, Modi Xerox. I was in the corporate office reporting to the MD of the company, technical advisor to. And that's where I did a change and went from a rubber organization or electronics organization, Xerox, which I was supporting, service organization too. I was picked up by Ranbaxy, that's a pharma company. And my that was a high speed company, and the chairman used to move extremely high speed. 2 o'clock in the morning, when my interview was being held, I told that I can't join a pharma company because I'm an electronics background and have done rubber. And he said, that's why I want to join this industry, because this industry is only quality control. I want you to shift it like Xerox or rubber to make it as a, or a mechanical organization and make it as a quality assurance. But the change and task given to me. Work very closely with Smotram, Vishal, CK Prahlad, some of the startups in the world, and learned another dimension that for a change you need only harder dimensions of change will not work. Softer dimensions of change, that change in human thinking, change in mindset, change in approach, broader vision, because your capability to influence is largely being driven by vision or perspective which you have. And I was fortunate to facilitate this humongous change with help of the chairman of the company. And we had done about 8, 9 years of working with the chairman of the company. The company grew from 300 crores to about 7,000 crores. And Dr. Parvinder Singh was known as the leader for in the pharma industry. We we worked, and that was a very high speed organization. A lot of time I came back from airport to my office in Nehru Place and went back straight from Nehru Place to airport without visiting my residence at last. So that was the speed. Not only me, the chairman, the directors, the senior people. That's where I was highly rewarded also. That's where my daughter got admission in medical. Of course, there's a uh, story behind it. I had to, myself and my wife had to, we had drafted a mission statement for the family by then. And that mission had one of the deliverables that our daughter should become a doctor. We had made a commitment to her. And that's where I got a job, excellent job abroad. And I was getting 3 lakhs, the offer was about 21 lakhs. 7 times. Myself and my wife, we sat down and we looked at the deliverables and found that securing admission for her in then we found that was not the plan of our life. And we refused that. And we stayed back in Delhi. Today, I mean, fortunately, with blessings of Almighty and good people like you, she's a gynecologist. Again, she chose gynecology because gynecology gives joy to the patient, to the patient's family, and also to the doctor. All other streams of medicine do not give that kind of joy. Anyway, that's it. I was very happy to see that these are when we came to the time of concentration. I was also happy to see that she's also realized that while money is important, but joy is more and something that had been internalized in her thinking. I was very thankful to her. Like, from there, then next year I moved on to Japanese organization picked me to quality in the country. Having done quality for automobile companies in the country, that was a second chance to facilitate quality in environment and various life of the company. And I picked up about 500 people from this country and sent them to Japan to learn how to facilitate quality change in the country. And that was a very rewarding experience. Spent about 8 months with them, set up various centers in the country. Even Quality Council of India was set up at that time to facilitate quality in common man's life, whether city has quality, whether the medical services have quality, whether the municipal corporation has got quality, even though it got established, nothing much has happened, which I agree to it. But that thinking the seed was sown, and I was a part of that seed sowing for the nation actually. Again, it's going on, but not much has been achieved. But just I moved on to telecom. Escorts had a company called Escotel, and I worked for Escotel for about 4 years. It was great learning experience, but the principle of managing an organization I realized are same: patience, respect, sincerity, integrity, hard working. While the upper layer may comprise of a network operation center, a laboratory, or or a shop floor, or a food manufacturing unit. So I had started differentiating between the upper layer and the basic principles, and started working on the basic principles after having worked with Stephen Covey for about 1 month in India. I had invited him, Covey. You may remember his book Seven Habits of Effective Managers, which is the world's bestseller. So I created and did about 3,000 programs in the country basis that learnings of that book. And in today also I'm happy to share that in I remember in Escotel one incident when there was an escalation done for a customer in Kerala that the charges at which you have given me the connection and the charges at which connections are being given today in the market are lesser. So I've been cheated. The company today also most of the companies take an opinion that when you bought this was about 500 rupees per month. Today it's 300 rupees per month, but we can't change. If you change, we will not give you your maturity benefits, etc. But Escotel, I pursued with my management, and we decided to offer lower charges. The CEO of the company realized that this would benefit to build relationship with customer, and fortunately, it so happened our revenue never went down because the usage increased, and we had free time on our network operation center, which was hardly being 30% utilized. If you have 70% spare capacity, why not give it and make the customer happy? I was a facilitator of that change. And today also, while that Escotel company in Kerala has been sold out, it's been bought by Airtel. The company, that circle still is the best circle in customer satisfaction across the country because they continue to retain that principle of customer orientation and thinking from customer point of view. It was a very satisfying experience for me. A lot of innovation happened, and that's where the company got sold out to Idea. Idea was in Pune. They wanted me to shift to Pune, which I later on they said you can operate from India, which I felt was not correct to manage an organization operating from a location other than where CEO sits. So I left Airtel and I was left Escotel. I was jobless for about 12 hours. Next day morning, I was called by Airtel and worked for Airtel for about 9 years. Real high speed company. I mean, again, another company which moves on speeds, which decides on speeds, which cancels a decision also if they are not relevant and some change has happened. Because telecom is one field. I mean, I'm sure some of you who are in the audience would have worked in similar fields or would be still contributing in the field. Who I realized moves at really high speed. And that's where I had a great opportunity to contribute a lot. Fortunately, I did some contributions in the country as well as outside the country also. I mean, I realized the chairman of the company was totally radical. He had set up the company without any network. That was the first company in the world, the telecom company, took on hire or took on lease uh, network from Nokia or Ericsson or Siemens and told them, I will pay you money after I collect money from the customer. Very intelligent move. Now, this philosophy has been copied by 90% of telecom operators in the world. And that time there were news magazines which said, "Is he a madman?" I'm sorry to use this word because this was unthinkable. But then we realized that this and so many other changes of launching of music, launching of banking systems, launching of and really customer orientation helped us a lot. I also, I mean, did really great jobs from my perspective and was awarded by next was given a National Economies on Quality Award by then President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in 2007. It was really happy going for me. I mean, very high speed, but also got associated with documenting a standard, some part of the documentation of standard, which is now an international standard called as TL 9000, being used by telecom operators and telecom service providers across the world. So I did some contribution to that. That's where my journey of national contributions and some international contributions began. And beside this, I started supporting even medical field in WHO. WHO, one of the dimensions was child mortality rate. I used to facilitate a session of WHO team, and that has happened because of my contacts and some of the, I think, people came to know that about my facilitation skills. So the child mortality rate in one of the projects which we did in Andhra Pradesh near Hyderabad got reduced by about 33%. Only change was the initially the focus was start time and end time. Start time was taken as when a would-be mother walks into the hospital for delivery, and end time was when the baby was delivered. We changed the start time from when the mother conceives the baby to end time after 1 month of delivery. And that made huge perspective change. We started giving incentive to the most of the time mother-in-law who used to bring the would-be mother to the nursing home there, and we used to give her about 50 rupees and also give food to the mother. Till I mean, some nourishing items were given to her, so the child mortality rate went down by 33%. Similarly, there are various projects. I mean, one of them was a very challenging project which I did, motivated a large, hospital body to reduce their forceps delivery and make normal delivery as a way of life. And that's where we made use of certain Panchtantra stories and yogic methods to be taught to be practiced by the would-be mother, and that's made huge change. It was awarded nationally. Of course, this remained at a project only. One hospital again in that hospital chain, one doctor was brave enough to adopt. Others felt they will lose their revenue, so this was stopped. So that's how life has been for the last about 2012. I left my full-time job. Today I'm a consultant. But besides consultant, most of people prepare and plan for everything. My mother talked to me a lot time back when she got surgery to Apollo hospital, to a hospital in Tamil Nadu. She had prepared everything. She had prepared even the bag which should, even in case she passed away, how should we bring her, in TV safety or her bones back to the dead. And she had prepared everything and written it down on a document. So I'm also, opportunity passed me on the table. And that's when we found everything which he was carrying. I was reading this book called Death, and I realized that what you leave is not only physical assets, but you have to plan to leave your knowledge, your learning, the archive of whatever you have gained in the last about 60, 70 or 80 years of history. So for the last 2 years, I'm busy. I'm passing out my knowledge free of cost to students to entrepreneurs, management. Also, I am doing facilitation of another challenge in the country, which is trying to bring up Ayush. There is a society called Muhammad Society, set up by Banaras Hindu University. I'm one of the members of the committee formed to develop a new regulator or a different regulator for Ayush, so that Ayush can have influence today modern medicine enjoys. I don't know how it happened. It's just the beginning, only 3 months back, and I'm only a small creature in the whole system. Is contributing by his facilitation skills, but I'm enjoying it. Of course, I mean, these days after March, I mean, talking out, you don't even spare 1 or 2 hours in my day to day, because I'm trying to catch up on my reading. I'm trying to deliver as much as possible using Zoom and various participating in these meetings, participating in more international activities. I'm trying to bring down 5G knowledge, which is a telecom knowledge from America. I'm trying to bring down smart city knowledge, because smart cities in India, which haven't been developed, do not have any defined and specific them uniform in Indore or in Jaipur. This non-uniformity is creating a problem and will create huge problem in future. So, I have also not short time, but I have huge time in even as an individual or an artist. Happy to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Amen.
Uh, just 1 minute, Arunji. It's a great contribution that you have done to the country, and I see huge changes in various industries. I see that you have worked in telecom, you have worked in healthcare, I think multi sites of healthcare, and it's a great journey that you had. And what about your personal journey? So this was professional journey, but I'm sure
Mhm.
that also would have been a wonderful journey. So I think maybe just 2 3 minutes if you can spend on that, that'd be nice.
My personal journey has been very satisfying, sir. I mean, God has been very kind. I have a son and a daughter. Both are mature now. My daughter is a gynecologist working in a beautiful, environment near Dharamshala. There's a place called Kangra. She, her husband, her mother-in-law, the entire family manages a small hospital, and they're very happy, um, very hardworking, and very close family. My son is an architect and doing very well. I mean, see, I mean, his wife is also an architect, and he's also getting guidance and support from your end also, Sanjeev sir. Um, but more than what they have achieved, I have a joy that they are good human beings. I mean, they're very good human beings, which is far more critical to me. Finance, of course, they're making educate. I don't have to leave anything for them to encash upon. They're satisfied, contented, and making educate. And they're also, I mean, they're also, trying to move or go an extra mile to whoever is in need. Like, I mean, I remember my daughter, she didn't come for her holidays by DNB. It was a Diwali, because she wanted to do delivery of a patient who was HIV positive. And she wanted to do that for the first time in life and undergo that stress and maybe learn that, which was more satisfying than the money to me than the money she earns. Similarly, when I went through my first heart surgery, my son had got a job. Uh, very excellent job. I mean, decent from my perspective and his perspective. But that's the day I was supposed to go undergo the surgery, and he didn't go join that job. He lost that job, and because he wanted to be around when I was going through the surgery. Of course, after about 10 days, he picked up another better job. So they are both good human beings, and I mean, I pray to Almighty they remain great and good human beings with blessings of people like you and others and Almighty. And I mean, I wish God guides them on the right path. We have three grandchildren, and that means all three daughters. My daughter has got two daughters. My son has got a daughter. Again, very innovative child. Other day only because she's sitting at home, she he converted our bedroom into a slide so that she can slide from up to down and enjoy. He's 3 years old, young only. So both are creative. All of them are enjoying. And I'm also these days busy with spiritual reading. What I'm also working upon now is trying to connect Ramayana to human values. Again, it takes a lot of time. I'm trying to pass on these learnings to new generation. So MBA students, I'm helping them to realize that values are more critical for enduring and long-lasting success. So I've been happy. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks, thanks,
Thank you, Arunji. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you.
thank you, and wish you all the best. Thank you. Continue your great job.
Thank you. Thank you with your blessings.